Chapter 1. 3 weeks ago, one of Mommy's friends said, "I bet you there's something wrong with her." According to her, no one will want to marry a guy with baggage. She also said that there should be a law against doing that, or at the very least a fine. When I heard it, I imagined Dad and Mrs. Franchy going to the courthouse, dropping some cash to pay their ticket before getting married, because Dad's new house is filled with suitcases. But that's not what she meant. No, she meant that Dad has a lot of kids. Me, Rafa, Mally, and Josiah. And because of that, Mrs. Franchy shouldn't want to marry him. And if she does, it's because it's something wrong with her. But they're wrong. 4 kids is not that many. Plus, Dad always tells me that I'm his blessing. And I'm pretty sure he tells Rafa, Mally, and Josiah that too. And there's nothing wrong with Mrs. Franchy. She's actually very nice. When Josiah and I first met her, Dad had to run off to fix something at the bodega, and instead of it being awkward and all, she took us to the arcade and actually played video games with us. Afterwards, she took us to get ice cream. I think she spent a lot of money because it was at the mall. And Mommy says that the mall is too expensive to be going to every weekend. So I don't think there's something wrong with her. Well, I take that back. A little back. Mrs. Franchy works at the library in Singlebridge, and she loves books, which is mildly weird. She also has this yellow short-legged dog, which I swear she treats like he's a baby, and he's not. So that's weird. Maybe that's what Mommy and her friends are talking about. But honestly, I'm weird too. Because whenever talks about S-moms happen, I think of her, my first S-mom, the one that came before Mrs. Franchy. And when that happens, my arm itches a lot. I take my eyes off the window and the flurries that disappear before they hit the ground and scratch my arm. Outside, between my house and Evelise's, my bike is coated with ice from the rain last night. Daddy Leon forgot to cover it. Ugh, my arm burns. And when I look at it, I notice that my nail scratched a bit too hard. A drop of blood spilled and was now trickling around my arm like water in a creek. Without the blood, my arm would look like a road map. A road map my first S-mom gave me. Mommy, Daddy Leon, and Dad are saving up to make it better, to make it look normal again. But like the mall, it's super expensive. Plus, Dad doesn't want Mommy to put it all on the internet and ask for money. He says it's embarrassing, and why would we want to put our business out there for everyone to know? And when he says this and Mommy is in a bad mood, she yells at him and tells him it's all his fault and that he should just sell his bodega and use that money for my surgery. But honestly, I don't want Dad to do that. He loves his bodega. And when they're mad at each other, I can't talk to Dad for the longest. And sometimes I even have to sneak and use Evelise's mom's phone, which I can't do that anymore. Because now we got to stay inside our houses. Even school is inside our houses. Everything is inside our houses. And it's so boring. Maybe that's why Mommy's sending me to Dad's. Maybe she feels bad about all those times that she was mad at him and I couldn't see him. But my arm itches and my stomach flips. Ugh. Mommy thinks Mrs. Franchy is so weird. But why? Mommy also says that when a woman gets a ring, they completely change. If you want it, then you should have put a ring on it. I like that song. Actually, Evelise and I like that song. We discovered it when she stayed over with us because her mom and dad were getting married for the 3rd time. It's a long story. And that night we asked Mommy about it, but all she said was, "No one needs a ring to commit." But when Mommy's with her friends, she says a whole lot more. And when she told us that night, Evelise and I just looked at one another. We shrugged. I mean, the song is really good. Isla? Devon startles me when he calls me and takes me out of my thought. I look over his side of the room, which is decorated with everything pirate, and watch as his chubby brown fingers try to ram a piece of Lego on the wrong spot. His lips are pursed and eyebrows scrounge in frustration, and before he cries, I click my tongue to the roof of my mouth. When he looks at me, I press my finger against my lips. I can't let him talk. We're supposed to be sleeping. Shh, I tell him, and tiptoe towards the end of his room. I walk around my open luggage and stacks of clothes right outside, which I'm supposed to be packing. A hard piece of something pokes at the bottom of my foot. I push my hand over my mouth to keep from screaming. Ugh. Sorry, Devon says. He opens his eyes so wide his lashes touch his eyebrows. How can I be mad at that? I bend over and grab the tan Lego that camouflages itself with the carpet. It's okay, I mumble. When I reach his bed, I put the piece I found next to the other pieces he hasn't used, which is not that many. Daddy Leon gave him a puzzle of a pirate ship for Christmas. Devon is obsessed with pirates. Daddy Leon wants to turn his bed into a ship, but with work and helping Mami, who is super pregnant with my baby sister, he hasn't found the time. When I sit next to Devon, I grab his hand towards the spot, and the piece goes in without a struggle. Devon gasps and kisses my hand. Sometimes Devon can't find words or doesn't say them right, but he's good with hugs and kisses, and unfortunately slaps, which I tell him is not good. Thank you, Isla, he says. And sometimes not even Mami understands what he says, and I do. She finds it strange that Devon can't talk well and says I was talking straight out of the womb, which is impossible, but I kind of believe it because sometimes I don't even know when to shut up and sometimes I say things without even thinking. So maybe it's a good thing that Devon is not talking early like me. Maybe it means that he will think of his words before he says them. I head to the door, but before I reach it, I look back. Devon is sitting there, biting his lower lip, while he moves a piece over to its spot. The ship is almost done. Gosh, I'm going to miss him.